So today we are going to be talking about ratios again. You'll notice how you look over here for our assessments. I can't even talk to them. For our essential question, we added some information in, so everybody should look it over here. So you guys talked about fractions, colons, and the word form. We added an example. Second period also said, never say as a mixed number because it's not a fraction, right? It's a ratio. And they also said that it can be an improper fraction, the way that it looks. They talked about how to say it is to always use the word to. Order matters. So please be very careful with this. Jonathan, not sure why you're still writing. Making sure that if it says tables to chairs, you put your numbers in order tables to chairs. And then obviously it's 8 to 32 is the example that we did last week. So does anybody remember from last week what a ratio is? Remember what I told you guys? All right, Mikhail, what do you think?
A ratio is
We didn't write it down. I told you. We talked about it. Jonathan?
a ratio is a comparison between two numbers.
Yep. All right. Now, today, your activity that you're gonna do, you are gonna we're gonna end the class period with you guys working in partners. But first, we're gonna go through it together and do a couple examples of each one. Just so you have a full, complete understanding of what you're supposed to do. Now, your homework tonight is essentially to pick 8 problems from the activity today. But if you are a super intelligent young person, you're gonna get all of the problems done today, so then what will not happen tonight?
No homework.
You will have no homework. But once we break into our pairs, if you sit there and play around the whole time, you're gonna have homework. So it's really kind of what you wanna do today. I will also give you the option that if you do not wanna work with pairs or with a partner, you do not have to, because sometimes we like to work by ourselves as well, correct? So if that will work better for you, then that is an option that you have as well. Okay, so the first couple problems, they are called explain it. So you have different types of questions. And this part of it, why are you on your iPad? What are you doing, son? Please tell me you're not doing Lexia right now. What are you doing? Even better, put your iPad on the back table, you can get it at the end of the day. Like, why do you think that that's okay? Alright, so for the explain it part, we're just simply going to explain. Are we going to use numbers? Sometimes. Are we going to use words? Sometimes. So for the first one, and I want you to label it, explain it, so that you know what part it goes to. The question is, explain the difference between a ratio and a fraction. So, for number 1, what is the difference between a ratio and a fraction? Ronnie?
That for ratios you have to say like 8 to 3.
Nope. We just talked about what a ratio was. It's a comparison of between 2 quantities. So we know that a ratio is a comparison. What is a fraction? What's a fraction, guys? Go on. It's a part of a whole. So the difference, and this is what you need to write. The difference between a ratio and fraction is that a ratio is a comparison of two, we're gonna say or more, because you can compare more than two things. Two or more quantities and a fraction is a part of a whole. All right, give me a thumbs up when you have that written down. Alright, so you're giving me a thumbs up once you have this written down, so I know that I'm not moving too fast, but not also wasting time. Okay, so the next explain it that we're gonna do is number 5. And I know that this is gonna put your numbers out of order, but that's okay. Alright, so we're gonna do this one. So it says Billy wanted to write a ratio. Yeah, I'm gonna do this one. Billy wanted to write a ratio, comparing the numbers of oranges to the number of apples in his fridge. He wrote 1 and 3. Did Billy write the ratio correct? Explain your answer. Alright, so first and foremost, stand up if you feel like 1 and 3 is correct. Okay, why is this not correct? Camden.
Order matters.
Well, order is right, but there's something wrong with how he wrote it. Mila?
No, 1 and 3 instead of 1, 2.
Perfect. So he wrote 1 and 3, and it should be 1, 2, 3. What do you notice so far about the explain it part? Look at the type of answers we're providing.
You have to write this because you can't just put like your answer in the explanation in words.
Okay, so we're definitely having to write it in sentences. And that's important, guys. You're writing full sentences. You're not just writing like 2 or 3 words. You're explaining. You're writing a full sentence. All right, and then the last one I want to do is number 6, just so that we have an understanding of equivalent ratios. We haven't necessarily talked about equivalent ratios, but you guys have talked about equivalent fractions before, correct?
Yes.
So it's kind of the same thing. All right, so number 6 says, explain what an equivalent ratio is. Is the base, or what is the base word in the word equivalent? All right, so what do you think if, well, let's start with this. What is an equivalent fraction?
Things that equal the same amount.
Right, so they equal the same amount, they just have different numbers, right? So then, what do you think an equivalent ratio would be?
numbers when equal ratio.
Okay, so the same ratio increased or decreased by what operation? What operation do you think we're gonna increase or decrease with?
Adding, subtraction, dividing,
Dividing and,
multiplying.
all right, and then the second part of that question was, what is the base word in the word equivalent? Aiden, yes. Base word equals equal. All right, so we did 3 of the 8 explain it's. Okay? So the next part is going to be sketching. And the majority of these are draw a picture of this ratio. Okay, so we're actually only going to do one example of these, just because there's only one that I feel like we might struggle with a little bit. So this is gonna be number 5. And number 5 says complete the table using equivalent ratios. Okay, so we're gonna draw this table. Okay, so our equivalent, our original ratio is 1 to 2. Alright, so how do we go from 1 to 4, multiplying or dividing? Well, the first thing you need to ask yourself is this an increase or a decrease? 1 to 4, is it increasing or decreasing, Leah?
Increasing.
It's increasing, right? So we're obviously not going to divide, we're gonna multiply. So what do I multiply 1 by to get 4? Leah? 4. So I'm going to essentially times 4 here. So if I times 4 on that side, what do I have to do to the 2 on this side? Times it by 4. So what is 2 times 4? 8. Alright, now we don't have a number here, so we have to look at our 12 here. So how do I go from 2 to 12? How do I go from 2 to 12? Camden?
Multiply by 6.
Alright, so multiply by 6 here. So then what do I have to do with my 1 on the other side? To get this box, multiply by 6. Alright, and then same thing, if I'm going from 1 to 52, what am I multiplying by? What am I multiplying by? If I'm going 1 to 52, what am I gonna multiply by? Cristiano? I said if I'm going from 1 to 2, or 1 to 52, what am I multiplying 1 by? So that should be 6, right? So this is going to be, and I made my box a little small, so I'm gonna multiply this by 52, so what do I have to multiply my 2 by? 52. Okay, so that's essentially how you do a ratio table. We will be talking about these in another week, but for now, you kind of got a little bit of a preview. A ratio table is simply equivalent ratios. Okay? So the rest of the, like I said, we did number 5. So the rest of these are draw a picture that represents this ratio. Draw a picture that is representing 5 to 2 using squares and parts. This one says write 3 equivalent ratios or 4 to 5. Equivalent ratio is 4 to 5. So what's one of those equivalent ratios? Jonathan?
8 to 10.
8 to 10 because you multiply both of those by, would you multiply 4 and 5 by? 2. Alright, so for 2 other ones, you could multiply it by another number. Can you divide 4 to 5?
No.
Why not?
4 can go to 5 even though 5 can go to 4.
Right. Alright, again, complete the circle to match the ratio of 12 rectangles to 4 circles. I mean, like I said, the sketch it ones are pretty easy. It's just drawing representations of these. Alright, the last one that we are going to talk about is the do it one. Right. Follow me. Alright, so we're gonna start with number 1. And number 1 says, at the 6th grade school dance, there are 110 boys, 90 girls, and 15 adults. Okay? So the important numbers are the total number of boys, total number of girls, total number of adults. The first part says, what is the ratio of girls to boys? Alright, so what is our ratio of girls to boys? And please be careful because what's very important when you're saying a ratio is a yes. So the first part, and we'll just label it A, is 90 to 110. Okay? So order matters, girls to boys. Alright? And the next one is, what is the ratio of adults to boys? So what's the ratio of adults to boys? Olivia, what's the ratio of adults to boys? Bless you. 15 to 110. And then the last one, what is the ratio of students to adults? So this one, we have to kind of do an extra step, don't we? What do we have to do in order to find the total number of students? Leo?
And
Yes. So over here, I'm going to do 110 plus 90, which gives me 200. So our ratio is 200 to 15. Now, what did I not do with any of my ratios? What did I not do? Mikhail?
you didn't change any
I didn't what?
so you didn't change any of the symbols.
I didn't change any of the symbols? What do you mean? Okay, and you don't have to, like, if you're super comfortable with just using the word to, use it. If you like the fraction bar, you can use it. Unless it tells you that you have to use a different way, use whatever you're most comfortable with ratios. Alright, what else did I not do with my numbers? Okay,
You didn't change the numbers, you kept them how they were.
what do you mean change?
You didn't divide it by anything.
I didn't simplify them, right? Part of the reason I didn't simplify them is because it didn't tell me to. Alright, if you want to get extra practice in, by all means, go in and simplify your ratios. If you feel like you're comfortable enough and you get it and you understand it, I'm not going to require you unless the question tells you to. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm leaving that up to you as whatever you feel like you need the most practice with. Alright, Jonathan, did you have a question?
Also, you didn't change the order. You didn't make like 110 to 90, you did like 90 to 100, like you kept the same order.
Right. Okay, and remember guys, order matters for this. Alright, Alright, let's do number 7. Alright, number 7 says, at a concert, the
Do
ratio.
it?
What?
For do it under.
Yeah, for the do it, yeah, right here. Sorry. So it says, at a concert, the ratio of the number of boys to the number of girls is 1 to 3. If there are 150 more girls than boys, how many boys are at the concert? Okay, so this is where putting it as a fraction is going to be very beneficial to you. So what does the 1 represent? So down here, are going to draw an arrow here on top. So the 1 is representing what? Run,
Boys.
okay? And the 3 is representing what? Go ahead.
The girls.
The girls. Alright, how many girls do we have? Do we know we have? Mikhail.
150.
Yes. So we know that we have 150 girls. So this is girls, this is boys, right? So we have 150 girls. So how do you go, or what, are we increasing or decreasing when we go from 3 to 150? Are we increasing or decreasing when we go from 3 to 150? Mila. Increasing. So Mila, what am I going to multiply 3 by to get 15? 5, right? And then I'm obviously just gonna add an extra 0 because it's not 15, it's 150. So guys, if I do multiply by multiply by 50 on the bottom, what do I have to do on the top?
Multiply that by 3. I mean 5.
Not 5, but 50. Alright, so it's just like a fraction in that sense. Whatever you do on the bottom, you gotta do on the top kind of thing. So what is 1 times 50? What's 1 times 50? Y'all can just call it out. 50. So the number of boys at this concert are 50. So that is kind of how you will solve an equivalent ratio when they give you some information about one of the units. What, Jonathan?
It says 150 more girls than boys. So it could be like 300 and like the boys have 150, it's 150 more.
Right. Alright, so like I said, your option is going to be, you can work with a partner, you can work by yourself, however you feel is going to be most beneficial to you. Okay? You will get 1 warning if I hear that people are off task. If it becomes another warning, everybody is going to go back to their original seats and you're going to work independently. Alright, some of these questions are super easy. Some of these questions you're going to want to have another brain to help you. Okay? This is linked onto Canvas, these questions. So you're going to need to make sure that you have your iPad and you pull it up. Now don't move yet because I'm not done. Alright, you'll notice that there's no more room on your practice problem page, is there? And your next page is your homework. So you are doing the rest of your work on your homework pages. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
See what I did there? Alright, and like I said, you have 8 explain it, 8 do it, and 8 sketch it. And we did 3 of the explain it, so really you have 5 left. Please make sure you're numbering them. So explain it number 2, explain it number 3, number 4. So make sure over here on your homework page you're numbering them. Also, you need to write what you're doing. So are you doing, like, you know how we did explain it, sketch it, do it?
Yeah.
You need to do the same thing over here on your homework, so I don't just see 5 5s and no explanation of where it goes.
You said we needed to do 8
You have to, for homework.
Are we doing all of those as well?
You're doing this for the remainder of class.
Okay.
So if you don't finish this today, then you have 8 problems for homework from this tonight.
Okay.
But you have an hour essentially to do the rest of these.
Okay.
And you're putting it on your homework page.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Are there, what, baby? Yes. Yep, so right now it's classwork, working with a partner if you want, but I'm hopefully motivating you guys to work and not have homework tonight. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions about the activity that you're gonna be doing? Alright, if you get stuck, please come and ask for help. Alright, I don't necessarily know that I'm excited to answer, but I might guide you in the right direction. Alright, questions? You may work around the room. You don't have to stay in your seat. If you want to sit on the cushions or the chairs or whatever, that's fine. You can do that. I think that's it. Any questions at all? All right. Go ahead. Pick your partner to get started.